Välkomna till Svenska kyrkans monter och Se-människan-scenen. Vår nästa programpunkt blir ett samtal på engelska mellan Göran Rosenberg och Haya Atatrah. Välkomna, welcome.
Thank you. Do you hear me? Yes, you do. Thank you for coming and welcome to Sweden, Haya. We talked yesterday, and we are very lucky to have you here. Less lucky not to have Rana Muritaya here, who was supposed to come, a young writer from Gaza. And the reason she couldn't come, I don't want to go too deeply into, but that's one of the reasons we are sitting here. It's the reason that people in Gaza live under circumstances where they cannot travel like most other people. They are basically locked into a huge outdoor prison, and you need all kinds of permits to get out of there. And Rana did not get the permit. Haya doesn't live in Gaza. You live in the West Bank, as we call the occupied territories of the West Bank, in Ramallah. Mm-hmm. And you are also an aspiring young writer, and you work with something called the Tamer-institutet. I will say something about the Tamer-institutet. Let me first say something on why I'm sitting here. I was asked a few years ago to be in a jury for a project called Gaza. It was an idea that you should encourage young, very young sometimes, people in Gaza to start writing. And it was a sort of competition, and the best contributions were collected and translated in this little book, which I can see are in the hands there, and you could purchase it. And the idea behind Gaza, which I think is such an important idea, and it's also to some extent the idea behind the Tamer-institutet, is that in situations where young people face hopelessness, face an enormous lack of perspective, because the situation, it's an occupation, and there is very little they can aspire to, not mention traveling, then writing, expressing yourself is more and more important. It's more important than perhaps in other situations. And the title of this little seminar or little talk is Skriva för livet, writing for life. And I think it's a proper way of, describing it. So welcome. I'm glad you could make it. It's easier to travel from Ramallah than from Gaza, apparently. Tell me about, you also started at a very young age, actually, to write. Tell us about how you started to writing and why.
Yes, I actually started writing during the second Intifada, and I was
That's
at
in
the
year 2000.
Yeah, in 2002, where the Intifada started, and it was kind of hard circumstances for everyone, but especially children were not able to handle this situation. So I've started, as many children of my age, writing, expressing ourselves, and writing about things that we see, things that we are exposed to, without our really. We didn't want to see all these things, but we were forced to see all these damage, all these firing, bombing in the second Intifada, and it was really hard times for everyone. It was suffering in schools, in houses, in everywhere.
So what? Who made you? You were very young, I understand.
Yeah.
You were, 5, 6, or?
No, I was 9, maybe.
No,
or
okay,
something
because
like this.
okay, well, that's young too.
Yeah.
So what did you personally? What was your? Who encouraged you? What did you write? Do you remember?
Yeah, the first things I wrote about was, the image of Muhammad al-Durra. He's an icon of the second Intifada. He was fired and shot by Israeli military forces with his dad. His dad was helpless. He couldn't even protect his son, and all his images and all videos were, you know, in everywhere in TVs, and it was really something awful to see father helpless of protecting his son, and you know, he couldn't protect him from Israelis, and at the end, Muhammad was killed by the Israelis. So it really touched me the way that everything happens, and all these killing and death, which was spread all over my country. I've started writing about these scenes that I see, the things that I'm exposed to. And it was not a professional writing, or it was not a creative writing as I write now. It was only, you know, bringing everything inside me to papers in order to, you know, it's some kind of healing maybe to use.
Now you're also, as I mentioned earlier, you're affiliated with the Tamer-institutet,
Yeah.
which is also in Ramallah and in Gaza. We were supposed also to have a representative of the Tamer-institutet in Gaza, but he couldn't come either.
Yes.
The Tamer-institutet, I don't know if you have heard about it, but it's actually quite famous because in 2009 it received the ALMA-priset, the Astrid Lindgren prize for Astrid Lindgren Memory Award for children books or promoting children literature. And Tamer-institutet got that prize. And actually, the institute has become an institution in Palestine in promoting reading and writing, mostly reading, but also writing among Palestinian young children. And it has every year a campaign.
Reading week,
Could you tell us more about the Tamer and your involvement with Tamer?
Yeah, actually in Tamer-institutet we have many youth groups. Many are interested, you know, we have 3 main youth groups. One is interested in acting and plays and performance, and it's called SERB. The other one is Yara'at, that I belong to, and it's interested in literature and reading and all these cultural, you know, things. And we also have Al-Marsam, who are interested in arts and painting and artistic stuff. For, you know, Yara'at volunteers and members, we are part of the Reading Week. It's a national week. It became a national week in Palestine, where the first week of April we have. This week, in all cities and schools are also involved. We encourage reading for children, especially, you know, we have, you know, as you know, Tamer is also, we have a publishing unit. We publish children's stories, children literature, and many novels for young adults. So Tamer is working on it, and we are promoting reading habit among the young people and Palestinian children. And one of the other campaigns that Tamer been working for many years is I donated a book campaign where we collect books and novels from many Palestinian people, and Tamer give these books to libraries that lack books and they don't have any real libraries. So we are working on this project.
Reading some of these short stories in the book, you are struck, and I'm struck, by the variety. There are many stories that really literally try to tell these kind of stories, the experience of violence and experience of occupation. But there are also fantasy stories. There are also stories about, you know, dreaming away into something, another, you know, creating for yourself another space, really, outside the reality. Tell me about this, the variety of writing that you see, and is it possible just to add to use literature or writing as a way of surviving simply?
Yes, you know, as youth and young adults, we are facing many things, and you know, we have many struggles as a community facing the occupation itself, and we are facing also many issues as a community itself. So youth and young adults are writing about these issues, everyday life, where they have to face many things and to struggle in maybe in work, in universities, in schools, and with their families, and with all these traditions that we have. So I think youth write about these issues and how they handle it, because it's we would like to have a normal life, but we have a reality which is that we are occupied territory. So many are, I don't know if you noticed that many have this special relationship with sea, because mostly we can't go to sea and enjoy being at the beaches everywhere, because it's not allowed for us. We cannot go there. And we have here stories about love and all these fantasies, and it's really, it's an imagination, because the reality is really different. We have, especially in Gaza, there's many restrictions on especially females. So you can find various texts which talks about our issues with occupation and our issues as a community.
Yeah. I was coming to your relationship to the community.
Yeah.
This is also allowing young people and also women to express themselves freely.
Yeah.
How is it received in the Palestinian society? Is it controversial to some extent, or could it be?
We have surely the things that, it's really received in different ways. There are people who are really happy and pleased to read such things, and they deal with it in a good way, and understand that it's a youth text who are expressing themselves, and youth are, they have this fantasy and this imagination. And also there's other people who are expecting from youth to do a certain role through their text and express our issues with occupation and to deliver this message. But I think we as youth are responsible, but at the same time we would like to talk about our personal stories, our personal experience in our life. And if you noticed here, we have a text for Marwa Dabbour. She talks about a true story for a prisoner who been in a hunger strike, and I would like to read some piece of it. She says, "It was my 14th day at the ex-hangar, enduring various methods of torture by the officers of Shabak at Ashkelon Investigation Center."
Shabak is the security service, Israeli.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to, yeah.
I accidentally or intentionally know that Graham had received direct orders from the head of Shabak to use any means, known or unknown, legal or illegal, in dealing with me in order to get any piece of information. So here you can see how a 14 years old female or lady is aware of all these issues, and she's talking about experience that she never been into, but she's delivering this message. She has this responsibility to talk about these different perspectives of Palestinian life.
To try to imagine and relive that experience. Now, the role of literature in the Palestinian society is important, and you have a tradition. There have been some excellent writers and poets, and I would like you to say something about the role of literature in a society like this one. What can it make a difference?
Yeah. Actually, we have various kinds of literature. We have, the prisoners' literature, where we have many prisoners during their jail, where when they were in jails, they wrote about their experience. So it's really so common in Palestine to read about all these experiences. We have, the resistance literature, which really encouraged people, and it had amazing role during the first Intifada and in the 70s, especially for Palestinians who are living in 48 lands, because at that time their identities were treated, because the Israeli government wanted to treat them as Israelis. So it was a huge responsibility for them to keep this identity and to define themselves as Palestinian, not as Israelis. So yes, Palestinian literature is doing one of the most important roles to protect Palestinian identity and to deliver this message to the whole world, not only for us as Palestinians or as Arabs.
I was thinking in the arena of ideas, because you, as we know, you live under occupation. It's a situation where many young people and anybody can feel a sense of desperation and hopelessness. And so there is also a temptation, perhaps, to become very radicalized and go to the extreme and you know, the expression of desperate mind.
Yeah.
Is this, would you say, another possibility to deal with the situation, and what impact would it have, do you think, on the Palestinian society? Is it, will it make it more resistant, let's say, to desperation?
No, I don't think it's it's about going to extreme, but it's about doing everything possible to protect our identities and protect ourselves as community of being something else that we don't want to be. You always have these people who are stick to their radicality in their life and in their texts, but you have also these open-minded, I would say, people who really would deal with this issue in a different way. But it's the same issue that we are talking about, but we are talking about different ways of dealing with it. Because I think every community or every society wants to protect itself from, especially when it's threatened by occupation or any outside threat that want to, to cancel their identity.
You mentioned you want to be a writer, or actually you are at least aspiring to creative writing. What are your dreams? What do you want to write?
I would like to write about many beautiful things. I really write about, in Palestine we have the occupation. It's really, it's a part of our everyday life. But we have all these beautiful things, all these beautiful relationships in Palestine. We have, sorry, amazing things. We have this amazing nature, and it's a dynamic life, so you always will find something new to write about, and we are in a continuous interaction with all these things. So for me, I like about these small details that no one notices in this life. And I believe that when you read about these small details, you will be happy because you didn't notice it before. So that's what, for me, I write about.
You have something in mind? You have finished something? Are you publishing something?
Yeah, I've published with the Tamer-institutet. We had this project called The Messages to Present, and we were a group of youth people and we made a historical review for Palestine, and we wrote, each one write about the thing that he or she think is special. I read about Jesus' journey to Jerusalem until he was crucified there. And I had this, comparison between his suffering and my people's suffering in every day. And about these details, little details that he had been experiencing through his journey.
Well, as we said, the situation is dark. I mean, we didn't get all the people we wanted here, which would be a natural thing, one would think. And there will be still a time when writing will be a very important thing to do for people who cannot travel otherwise. At least they could use their pen or their computer to try to relate to the world outside. Thank you so much, Haya, for coming. And as I said, this little booklet give you a small taste of these young people's first attempts, perhaps in many cases they are very young, to write about to formulate themselves in writing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.